Just for the record, please state your name and how you got to Haines.
Well, my name is now Christy Tengs Fowler, and it was Christy Tengs. And my parents lived here. They flew to Juneau, St. Anne's Hospital, and my mother had me in Juneau, and I was born in. I was reared here. Yeah, so I grew up here.
And I'm Judy Heinmiller Clark. I grew up Judy Heinmiller, and I was also born at St. Anne's Hospital in Juneau. And the reason why is we didn't have a doctor here in Haines. My father was one of the veterans that was instrumental in purchasing the Fort Seward in 1947. One of the first things that the group of veterans did is they advertised heavily for a doctor. But at the point when Christy and I were born, we didn't have a doctor. My brother and I were both C-sections, so we were born at the hospital in Juneau. There were a few people around that were just catching a few babies, and some kids were born at home, but for any medical care at all, you had to be in Juneau.
So you went to school in Haines. What was that like?
Well, it was. We had really good teachers. I'd say overall we had a pretty good education.
Excellent.
I was a little bored as a teenager, junior, senior year. Actually, I went away to school. My junior year of high school, I went to Switzerland for a year. I didn't feel like there was enough of a challenge at that time, and that might have been social also. So I think that probably hasn't changed. You just kind of recycle everybody in a small area.
Right. Well, and that was kind of new then too, going overseas to go to school.
Yeah.
We didn't have exchange students at that point in time. We didn't go to school in this building. Christy and I graduated in 1973, so we went through school in the old school.
We went all the way from kindergarten through 12th in the building over there,
Yep.
and we were in kindergarten in that little shack.
That's right. There was a little tiny building off of the music room.
We played Eeny Annie over that.
That's right. Yeah, that was our kindergarten building. And go down that weird little hallway. School was good. I remember being really proud of going to school in Haines. We had really good teachers. I remember being told as a kid that we had good teachers and they had a high percentage of master's degrees. Remember when we traveled in high school? We
traveled a lot on the ferry just like you do now.
Same thing, and we would stay in people's houses, but we're talking, 1969 through 73. And skirts were really pretty short then. And we had to wear dresses when we traveled.
The boys dressed completely different. The boys all had their shirts tucked in school. It was very rare when they didn't. Their hair was short, but the girls, we wore little teeny mini skirts.
We did, and we had to wear dresses when we traveled because we were representing the town of Haines. So, in February when you're traveling and your skirt is barely below your thighs.
We wore nylons with garter belts. So if you had to go to the chalkboard, you have to worry about your garter belt showing.
Oh, pretty pantyhose.
I know. Yeah.
Fortunately, maxi coats came into style then. So they had a really long coat and these really short skirts.
Maxi coats, I was worried.
Mini skirts and maxi coats.
Oh, I remember those,
yeah.
That's right, we had those long vests, and those long vests, remember the vests that would come all the way down to the floor?
Yeah.
Those, yeah.
Well, remember when Sandra Schnabel got thrown out of school?
For what?
Carl Ward told her to go home because she was wearing shorts and a vest and it matched. It was really cute, but it was shorts.
Oh, hot pants.
It wasn't even hot pants, it was just shorts.
But I did wear hot pants.
Yeah.
Remember the little hot pants I had with the little scallops on them?
Right, we made our cheerleading uniforms. We ordered
She was a cheerleader. I didn't
skirts.
make the cheerleading team.
But
here.
As all you could get was a sweater and a skirt, with the little pleats in there and the colors. That was what was in the catalog. So we designed our little outfits and we had them made.
Well, it wasn't much different then because I'm concerned about my kids walking to school in their tennis shoes and not wearing their coats. But I used to wear the little skirt, and my nylons would be stuck to my skin, from the rain and sleet and snow.
Well, and you sure weren't going to wear a hat and ruin your hair.
No, of course not.
Took too long to do in the morning.
Yeah. And then the boys just started getting long hair. My brother was the first one who grew his hair. It was a big deal. He got kicked out of class for growing his hair long. Henderson kicked him out.
That's right.
So we were a little late with the whole hippie stage up here.
Yeah, it took a while. When we grew up with blue and gold colors too. We were freshmen in high school the year they changed the colors from blue and gold to green and white, and had to change the school song.
Yeah, that was hard.
I still sing the old words in my head.
I know, me too.
So, school was good. School was fun.
Yeah, and we were very competitive about grades. That was really important to us, and that was a big thing. We all wanted to do well in school, and we all really competed for grades, and that was a big thing with the classes we were in. I think classes above us too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we did pretty well in school.
Who was the most memorable teacher that you had?
Terry Shamboy. He was a great teacher.
He was fantastic. I think we were maybe junior high, 6th, 7th grade, something like that when he first came. He was really young. I don't know if he'd even taught anywhere yet.
He never seemed young to me. That's funny.
Well, at the time,
No, I'm sure he was,
in
but isn't
retrospect,
that
yeah,
interesting?
if he had taught it wasn't for more than maybe a year or two someplace else. We were kind of his first gig, if I remember right, but he was great. And of course, Christy and I grew up together, so I talked a lot. And
She got you in trouble.
I would just get her in trouble. But it was like the teacher would turn around and Christy would be telling me to be quiet, but she was the one that would get hollered at for talking. And then Terry Sharnbroy.
I can't believe you owned up to
Terry
that.
Sharnbroy could write. He's ambidextrous, and he could write with his left hand backwards on the board, so he never had to turn his back to us. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He could write with both hands, and he could
knew
write
exactly
backwards
what
on
was
the
going on.
chalkboard. He was amazing.
No, he was
Great math teacher.
really a good math teacher, and he was, he really demanded a lot, expected a lot from us, and it was good, and we appreciated that. I don't know, because he was really strong and firm, but we respected him and wanted to do well for him.
Well, Bob Henderson,
And
our science
Mr.
teacher.
Henderson, you wouldn't believe Mr. Henderson, this is what he would do. Mr. Henderson would, because he used an overhead projector, and every year he would rewrite those notes. What was that about?
I don't know. But we had to do tree identification, and he would come up with the tree and hold it in your face.
Kansas.
And he'd hold it in your face. But he kind of scared us, and he was one of my favorite teachers.
No, he was a really good teacher.
I
but I
willingly-
think he wanted to
yeah.
show us that he would do the work along with us. So he always wrote everything out. Instead of getting new plastic sheets, he just kept erasing them and writing them over. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. But no, he was a really good teacher too. He was really animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
didn't
remember-
have the facilities that you guys have now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure our lab was well stocked, but
I remember that.
we didn't have things like
I
skis.
remember dissecting. Oh, I hated the smell of.
Formaldehyde?
Oh, yeah, and to this day, when I walk in the new school and smell that carpet and it smells like that, I think of that, when we had to dissect that grasshopper. I'd use paper towels because I didn't want to touch it. And then another time, it was a little pike fish, and I kept getting worms in my fish. And I tried to do it without touching it, and then I remember I poked the eye out. Everybody was popping the eyes out, and I popped the eye out, and it flew into my mouth, and I screamed, and then the eyeball fell on the floor, and I stepped on it, and I freaked out, and I went like that, and my microscope flew across the room. I broke the microscope, so I had to do like lunch duty with Mr. Henderson for a month or something like that.
That's funny.
I don't know. That was,
Biology class, I'm sure.
yeah.
Anyway, we didn't have sports for girls. We played intramurals, and that was it. Christy had just said that she wanted to play basketball.
I could keep up with Roger Schnabel in 5th grade.
Yeah,
I thought I could anyway.
he was our basketball star.
Yeah.
But we
In our
didn't have,
class.
that's one reason why I was a cheerleader. I was pretty active physically, and that was one of the only things that we could do. We had cheerleading and drill team, and that was all. There was no sports for girls.
So yeah, they said you're done with it now. You
My
can't play
senior
anymore
year of
with
high
your
school
girls.
was the first year, either my junior or senior year, I'm pretty sure it was my senior year. That was when I bailed on being a cheerleader for, been a cheerleader for 3 years, and we'd won trophies every year. And my
You had a
senior
good
year, I
squad. You
quit
did good.
and decided I was gonna run track, because that was the first year track was available for girls. It was great fun.
Oh, I ran track too.
And now
That's
they have
right.
volleyball and a lot of different sports.
Mhm. And now boys are cheerleaders. That's a difference.
No kidding.
What changes have you seen over the years?
In, as far as school goes? Well, you know, we just mentioned earlier, for one thing, we had teachers that actually smoked in class. So that was quite different. Teachers could be disciplinarians, and they could paddle your butt when we were growing up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I didn't get my butt paddled, but plenty of kids did in
I
our
never
class. Yeah,
I never did.
but we know kids that did,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So,
Um,
they had a little paddle in the office,
mhm.
and you were afraid of that paddle. So, yeah, you'd go there and they'd whack you. Mhm.
Gee, I just fondly remember the ditto machine.
Oh,
know,
the
smelling
old
the
carbon
paper.
copies.
You know, there was no
Oh, that's so
copy
funny.
machines, there was no phone in any teacher's room.
Kids, of course, didn't have phones. That was unheard of. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Who would have ever dreamed?
Third grade, Carl Ward came in and told Wilma John, one of my favorite teachers, third grade.
Mhm, she was
That was
great.
November, that was when John F. Kennedy got shot.
Oh, I remember
and-
that day too.
And, yeah, he walked in and told her something, and she just kind of collapsed a little bit, and he got her, and we all went home.
Yeah.
We were just talking about one year that all of the vaccines, the vaccinations that the kids got, we were too young to get those. It was like the junior high and up, and we were a little younger than that. We must have been around the 4th or 5th grade, but I think they were way too strong, and all of the kids were laid out on the floor in the gymnasium, and everybody was going home, and all the parents were really concerned for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and I remember when I came back from Switzerland for Christmas, my junior year, I guess I brought something back. I brought some strain of measles back. Maybe someone on the plane had it, but I infected the whole school. And they infected like the ball teams from other schools. So I kind of infected Southeast Alaska, and everybody was mad at me.
It
And
was Swiss measles, wow.
I don't know what it was, but it was some strain, and so the school, everybody had to get vaccinated because of me. And that was pretty sad. That was my big homecoming,
Forgot about that.
and that's when I remember I put on a lot of weight when I left here. I don't know.
School was about the same size as it is now. That's one thing that I remember. Because when we graduated, there was about 100 kids in high school. I think there was 21 in my graduating class, and when Renee graduated last year, there was 21.
And
Um,
Tony and Omar's class, they had about 30.
They had 30, they had
30,
big class,
yeah.
one ahead of us. But,
Mhm.
you know,
And
the
one
school
teacher, no
size-
helpers. And they didn't have any
Right.
helpers in class.
We didn't have aides, no.
Yeah.
And no one-on-one aides.
No, that was way different.
Teachers
And there
just
were-
had to spend a lot of
There were all
time.
these labels for behavior, too.
Yeah. But it was about the same. I think kids now have, well, the activities that are available now that we didn't have. I would have killed for a swimming pool. That's just
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. That's one of the
Let's
biggest
talk where
changes
we
that I've
went
seen in
swimming.
Haines.
So we swam at 11 Mile. That was the big thing, to go swimming at 11 Mile, and it was full of leeches. And so we had to bring salt with us or matches with us. And every time we got out of the pool, we'd have to like burn the leeches off of us. We'd be going home with leeches all over us.
Right.
And then we'd like count who got the most leeches.
It's in a pond. We used to ice skate when I was a little kid right over here across the street.
Oh, that's
where
right.
where the park road goes into the to the fairgrounds there. The Sawmill Creek area was all swampy, and it would freeze. It wasn't very deep, but it would freeze, and we would have there's a little island in the middle and kind of this figure-8 thing. So we used to build bonfires at either end. We used to build bonfires a lot. Started the basketball season out on the playground. All the pallets and everything. And
I
they'd have
forgot about that.
The
You're
pep
right.
rallies would be out there around the bonfire. It
I
was
totally
great
forgot
fun.
about that.
Loved
Yeah.
that.
Huh. Right.
Yeah. We had sledding parties. We didn't have video games. We spent a lot more time outside.
We had creative imaginations, and we
Mhm.
were always, we didn't have TV till we were 14 when we got TV.
Yeah.
So think about that.
We did have a movie theater in town.
But we had a movie theater right where, Gross.
144,
144,
right.
yeah. And so we'd go to movies every week, and that was a big deal.
They played movies on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah, you'd get a Friday, Saturday movie, and then Sunday would be a different one. And when TV first happened, the tapes came up, and they would play tapes. And sometimes when the weather was bad, they would just play the same tapes over again.
The Alaska Satellite Television Project.
Right, but the big old tapes didn't come through, so they just played the
yeah.
same episode of The
We were always
Waltons or
at least a
whatever it
month
was.
late, but it was pretty exciting. And in fact, before we had TV, if we got to go to Juneau, that was the big thing in Juneau, is you got to watch TV. So.
School, let's see, what else? We didn't have skis. We didn't go outside and ski. We went
No,
outside
but
for
you know, we
recess.
did go skiing though, on our own. See, that's one thing they don't have here. We have
That's
these
right, we had
extreme, we have
skiers.
extreme skiers coming from all over the world
Yeah.
to ski here on our mountains, but we have no program for kids to ski here. And at least when I was growing up, there was a
That's right.
rope, when we were growing up, there was a rope tow.
There were two. There was
Yeah,
a
there were
rope
two
tow
rope
up off
tows.
a Young Road. You could ski there, and then up by the Mormon church over in the fort area. There's an access road, and we had a rope tow there, so we used to ski.
Yeah, so it had something to pull us, so we just hold onto the rope and it would pull us up and we could ski down. And so we did ski.
We did, we skied, we ice skated. Lots of sledding. And we used to have runner sleds, you know, the kind that,
Oh, yeah.
so we'd make big arrows out of runner sleds, so
No
you
big
get some
round
big,
plastic sleds.
an older person in the front,
Right.
and then you would put your feet on each sled behind you, so then you'd keep hooking in and you'd make these arrows, so it was kinda like Crack the Whip when you go down Cemetery Hill
Oh, I
and
forgot about
in those
that.
corners. Yeah, the person at the end would always get flipped out.
Who are some of your classmates that still live in Haines?
Oh,
Oh
quite
my
a few of them.
gosh.
And we've never had a class